How you doing, everyone? It's great to be back for another Draftstars week here with NRL Fantasy Analysis. We got Sharks v the Storm in our first one for Thursday night, 15k guaranteed. I'm going to kick it off with the outside backs. And obviously, Pap came back with a bit of a bang last week, getting a lot of points in that last sort of 5 to 10 minutes. The big question this week is now, can he back that up? He was on a very low score for a good portion of last week there. And, obviously, they were getting beat pretty badly early, for the majority of that game, and then they came back. I think this game, Storm should come out and win this one. Unfortunately, the Sharks are now missing Nico Hines, with him going down with COVID. So I think Pat will have a little bit more of an impact throughout the entire game, rather than just in that little section at the end when they're trying to catch up. So at 20,730 is a little bit of a risk, if we're being honest. But if you're looking at the other guys that are options, if we're looking at outside backs, we're probably wanting some Storm guys, and I think Justin Olam is another one that you can get a pretty solid score out of this week, hopefully somewhere around the 40 plus mark. He has 2 scores over 40 in his last 4 there, and a serviceable 31 and a 33 there. So Olam's probably the guy that I'd be personally looking at. You've obviously got Sever, who's been scoring nicely as well, so he's a solid option, just that little bit less expensive. But Olam's obviously got the runs on the board and has years now of some decent fantasy scores, whereas Sever's played a bunch of games for him, but he's really on a bit of a tear at the moment. So if you think he can keep that up, then he would be the other one I would be thinking about in these outside backs. And obviously for Sharks, these are the guys that have all been doing a great job, week in, week out in Draftstars and fantasy in general, and obviously for the Sharks as well. So up to you, I think, where you want to go. If you want to go for one of the Sharks guys, you got Connor Tracy at 15,700. You got Ramey in there, Malatalo and Sione Katoa as options this week. Obviously Tracy coming in for Talakai. So all are going to be fairly similar, and I think you just got to pick your matchup as to how you want to play this one, or you can go for the double Storm player, is my theory there. The halves and hookers, it's a very interesting one this week with, no Harry Grant, no Munster, these types of players. I feel like Brandon Smith's going to be the pick this week. He obviously picked up a nice try off that steal last week, but the minutes was the big thing for him, and his work rate was up a little bit higher. So if we can get anywhere around that 35 to 40 from him in base with some potential for some attacking stats, then Brandon Smith's going to be the way to go. Obviously going to be starting in the 9 jersey this week. We know what he can do from that position, and I think that Brandon Smith is obviously a great pick. Blakey Brayley's obviously a nice one as well. The 38 and the 42 in his last 5 scores there. A little bit worrying if you're going to spend that money, but you've obviously got some lower scores from Jerome Hughes as well. I think Jerome's going to be the man, though, this week especially. So you've got Meaney in the halves with him this week. So majority of the kicking's going to come from Jerome. And I think, if you're getting that sort of 300 plus meters from him, that's plenty of points in itself to go along with a few attacking stats that he got last week, for example. That 57 looks pretty juicy if you can get that from Jerome this week, and I think you can. So that's the 3 guys I'd be looking at picking. You've obviously got Moylan, and then Trindle's the other one that you could potentially pick up in the flex. I would say would be a good one at 9k, so you can spend some cash elsewhere. Maybe you try and get Paps, for example, in the outside back. So Trindle's one that's going to get the team to himself this week. Moylan's obviously been doing a solid job, but he's a runner of the footy. Trindle's going to do the majority of the kicking, and you'd expect somewhere above the 30 mark for Braden in this position. He did get to start in one of these games in May there, and unfortunately didn't score incredibly well, but they got pumped. So that's the main worry with picking Trindle, is if they get smashed and he can't score his best. So we're looking at the forwards now, and we got Britton Nakora coming off a try, and that's why he's going up into that salary of 17,280 and the highest price guy here in this position. I think we're going to steer clear of Nakora. The main worry here with McInnes is just that he's going to be off the bench, so that 42.5 is a bit scary. I think he's definitely a chance of scoring somewhere around that mark. Guys like Nelson Asafa Solomona are definitely solid options this week. I think that if the Storm can come out and score and do pretty well, Nelson has a chance of scoring a try again. I definitely think we could bank on Kamakamika playing a much better game. He did get lower minutes last week, and it just is outside the realm of what he's been doing in those bunch of weeks before. He did have that week off, so that might have caused him a couple of issues in playing a few less minutes. So if you can bank on him improving his minutes there, I think he'll be solid. Wade Graham had a great game last week and got a bunch more minutes. We'd like to see him improving to about a 55, 60-minute clip. And if he can, I think he can really justify a pretty cheap price there. So he's definitely someone that's a solid option this week. The Chrissy Lewis is the way to go. So getting 80 minutes on an edge. He got the 33.8 last week which I think is pretty low compared to his standards playing 80 minutes on an edge. So Chris Lewis at 10,500, anything above 35.40 I think is going to be an absolute steal this week. So he's the one I'd be playing as, guys that are out through Origin. Wade Graham, Kamakamika, and really potentially like a McInnes or a Nelson Asafa-Solomona. And you can spend that money elsewhere, really. If you're going cheap here, you can probably go for Pat and potentially one of those good outside backs for the Sharks. And then halves hookers, you can go up top with a Hughes or a Brayley. So that is that Thursday video for you guys. I hope I wish you lots of luck in that first game of the round. Enjoy the rest of the weekend of the footy. Jump into the description below, guys. Hit that sign up link, and we'll catch you on the other side. See you guys.